Hello, thank you for joining me this morning for today's crafting. My name is Tracy Held. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Melbourne in Australia. I am a bit late today. I was just finishing up on another event. Don't know how many of you joined in that event. That was our Whimsy and Wonder event. It was awesome. We were going around the world. We had about 26 hours with gaps in between and lots of super projects. If you're interested in that, you can still join. I can add you to that Facebook page. So you need to order the Whimsy and Wonder Suite, and then you'll get the tutorial, which is 13 projects, and then the event, which was an additional 13 projects. Let me show you the card that we're going to make today. So this is our card, and that slides off, and then it's going to open like that. Now, let me tell you the story behind this card. You'll probably see she's on now, Heidi. I have a friend who we've never actually met in person. Her name is Beatrice Red, and although we don't know each other, we know each other very well. We've spent lots of time messaging and talking to each other. She's also a Facebook demonstrator. She's over in the States. And it's one of those people who, although we haven't met in person, she's one of my really good friends. Now, a word of warning, be careful if you ever tell a friend that you like their cards. A while ago, Beatrice put up a picture of that card, and I sent her a message saying, I really like your card and I need instructions how to make it. So she said that she would do a tutorial for me, which she didn't actually do. That's okay. And a few weeks ago, this card arrived in the post with a note. So there's the note. I decided to send you this card because you want to know how to make it. So now I expect this folder is your next Facebook Live tutorial. So once I got over laughing, I decided, okay, challenge accepted. And I wanted to do it. I wanted to learn how to do it. So I went and found instructions, figured it out, and that's my take on Bee's card. So hopefully she's going to be happy with what I've done with her card, because otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. Now, for my card, I'm actually all over the show with products. There's nothing that's from one particular suite. So the flower is from the Shaded Summer Stamp set. My sentiment is from Art Gallery. I'm then using dies, like I say, from all over. I cut that out of the Stitched So Sweetly frame. So the polished pink is from the largest one, the white is from the second largest. My sentiment's from Art Gallery, and I'm cutting it out with the framelits that coordinate with that. And the scallop along the inside is from the die from the, sorry, we've just hit a blank here, the paint flowers, the one that coordinates with hand paint. Alright, so that's all our products. And this DSP, having a bit of a blank day today. The DSP is the Celebration DSP. I can't remember what its name is, but it also coordinates with the hand-penned suite. Let's get started. Alright, so I'm starting with my normal sized piece of cardstock, 21 centimeters by 14.9. If you're in the States, it's going to be your 11 inches by, no, sorry, 8.5 by 5.5. Beatrice can correct me if I get any of my measurements wrong. And we're going to score both ends at 5.2 centimeters. If you're working with the metric, it's going to be 2 1/8 inches. That's our scoring done. And we'll give it a good fold. Now, I think that when Bea did her card, she used the, can I just pull this a little bit closer? I don't know why it looks like it's scored slightly off. I think that Bea used the layering squares framelits. Obviously, you can use whatever shape you like, but we don't have those framelits anymore. And I like the square because I like the diamond, so I had to make my own square. And the way that I did that is I started with a square piece of cardboard. So for the white one, this is 6.5 centimeters square. The polished pink is 7.6 centimeters square. And I'm going to cut my Stitched So Sweetly framelit, but I'm going to put it as close to the top edge as I can. So let's bring in my cut and emboss machine. I wish that this one had a magnetic platform, it would be so good. I'm going to put that one down there because this one's bending a little bit and I don't want this to move. Alright, so as close to the top as I can get it, and please stay there. Alright, it looks like it shifted a little bit, but that will be okay. Right, then I'm taking this out and I'm going to put this back into the framelit, but I'm going to match it up. You can see that I can match up the scallops. So I'm going to match up those scallops and it should stay, the stitching kind of catches when you put it in. I have sticky fingers. Okay. This we definitely want to get accurate because otherwise my square is not going to cut properly. Once we take that out, I now have a square made from my rectangle. Like I say, you could use the layering circles for this, but don't you think it looks really nice with that diamond shape? Now, to do our stamping, I'm going to take my stamp, and obviously with this stamp, normally you stamp it and you're getting everything in one color. So to get the two colors, we're going to go back to an oldie but a goodie, the marker to the ink. So here we go. I have mint macaron and melon mambo. I find that the colour does come out a bit paler, which is why I went with the darker melon mambo rather than the polished pink, just to get it with the extra colour. So we're going to colour in my leaves. The only thing to watch out for here is that you keep your leaves green and your flowers pink, so I try not to get green flowers, but if you do have a little bit of overlap, it's not the end of the world. You know, sometimes leaves can have a bit of pink or red in them. Flowers can be green before they open up. Okay, I normally don't like colouring heaps of stuff while I'm doing this because I think that it gets boring for you to watch, but some things are necessary. Okay, pink flowers. So I'm using the fat end of the markers and just colouring in my stamp. And I can see I missed a bit of green at the bottom of this bud, so we'll just make sure that we get that. That should be coloured. And then what you do is you huff and you puff and just get the ink, if it's been drying out a little bit, so breathe all over it. You sound like you're a geriatric smoker, but stamped out. And there's our flower, all done. Now for the happy birthday, I wanted to separate, well, have it on the two sides of the card. And what I did with that is I took the happy birthday from the art gallery stamp. Now, if you stamp the happy birthday as it is, you can't get it cut into two words. Okay, the die is too big to have it into two words. So you actually need to stamp your two words separately. And ordinarily I would be saying cover up the one word, you know, with washi tape or sticky tape, ink up, stamp it, then cover up the other word. But what I actually found, what works with this stamp, and of course it worked perfectly for me yesterday, so let's hope that it's going to work while we're on camera, because it doesn't always, is if you just carefully get the ink just to the happy, okay, make sure that you haven't got it on the birthday, and then stamp your happy. Clean off your stamp and then do the same for the birthday. Okay, we've got a little bit of ink on that Y, but I can get rid of that. Make sure that you give yourself enough space between the words that you're going to be able to cut them out. And then you can center your happy, run that through the cut and emboss machine, center your birthday, run that through the cut and emboss machine, and you land up with your happy birthday on two separate bits of paper. Right, so now we can start assembling the card. For the inside, I've taken my normal insert, 10 centimeters by 14.4, which would be your 4 by 5 1/4. I've stuck a 1 centimeter piece of DSP on here. That's from your Playful Patterns. So if you're using inches, that would be 3/8 of an inch. And I've run that through my cut and emboss machine. So that's done, ready to stick inside the card. And I still have 5 bottles of glue that are almost empty, but I'm very stubborn. I'll go until I absolutely can't get anything more out of the glue. Okay. Stick that inside. Now, to make our mechanism, you're going to need 3 squares. I've cut these to 6.5 centimeters square, which is, I don't know what in inches. I can probably tell you. So you could do 2.5 inches. It's not too serious about what the size of those squares are. While I've got this here, I'm going to just score them. So corner to corner, I'm scoring in half on 2 of the squares. Okay, the third one, I'm not going to score. And now we're going to fold those in half. And I'm going to glue the 2 halves onto my third square. Now, you want to be quite generous with your liquid glue, because you want this to have a really tight bind. We want it to hold really well. And it's not, if it doesn't match up exactly, it's not the end of the world. You're not really seeing much of this. But we're going to try and get it as close as we can. And then I'm gluing this square, so the 2 flaps here, onto the back of my square. That's going to be my focal point. We'll just find another glue. I may have to actually give up and decide that these are empty and get new glues. I do have them, I just like to get the last drop out. Okay, so the stitching definitely does have a front and a back. Can you see that? So just make sure that you're sticking it on the right side. And then we can stick our flower on top. we're going to stick our DSP onto the sides, and I've cut this DSP to the wrong size. Okay, bear with me for 1 second. I just need to cut the DSP to the correct size. I cut them the wrong size. Don't you hate it when you do that? Okay, so this is going to be 4.7 centimeters. If you're working in inches, it would be, we've cut, that was scored at 2 1/8, so it should be 1 3/8. And it's going to be 14.4 centimeters long, not 10 centimeters, which what I'd originally cut it to. And that would be your 5 1/4 inches long. Okay. Now that we have the DSP the right size, we can stick it on. It would be so easy if the whole world used the same measurements. I don't know why we have to be different. There we go. Now I'm doing my old favorite trick with the happy birthday. So I've got my happy birthday cut out, and I've got the exact same die cut in the polished pink. I'm going to cut them in half, and it's roughly in half. It doesn't have to be 100%. Could have prepared one of these before, but I didn't, so you get to watch it twice. And then we're going to put a little, I suppose I should do that where you can see what I'm doing, a little bit of glue along the top there. And we're sticking that back piece that just a little bit is poking out, so that we're getting the colored border, and we're doing the same on the bottom. And I need to do the same for my happy. Carolyn's watching on the big screen. Okay, so hopefully I'm not making any mistakes, because then you'll really be able to see them supersized. There we go. Okay, and as per usual, the dimensionals have disappeared. One of these days I'm going to sit here with 20 packets of dimensionals, and they're all going to be here. other end of the table. See, I have hundreds of dimensionals, but they never are where I need them to be. Okay, now before I put that on, you may have noticed in my picture last night, the inside of the card looked like that. But then I decided that maybe it needs something else. So I coloured a flower to put inside. Now, I think that that's one of my problems is I always need to do something else and something else. And Wolfgang says to me, okay, stop now. But then he'll say, but that does really look good. So I have a real problem doing simple cards. I just can't do that. And like I said earlier, we're all over. I'm colouring these with blends. And I've already cut them out, so I did a little bit before. So what I'm doing is just going around the edges with the darker colours and over the lines that are already on the paper. Note to self, don't cut, don't do this. It's much easier to do the colouring when you're on the full sheet of paper rather than when it's already cut out and you've got these little edges. But I thought I would cut it out first so that you wouldn't have to sit and watch me cut it out. So I'm sure we'll do fine. Okay, so that was my dark polished pink, and I'm just going to go around the little bits in the center. And then I'm taking my light polished pink and filling in. As per usual, there's no fancy colouring in when I'm doing it. It's as quick as I can to get it coloured. And don't you find it the strangest thing that as soon as we've got black and white DSP, we have to colour it. When we've got coloured DSP, we're complaining that we don't want the colours. Taking my mint macaron and just filling in on the bottom here, and these, I don't know whether they're leaves or berries, but they leafy berries, and they're going to be green. Okay. The thing with the blends is that it will bleed through the paper, so you always actually want to stick that down. What do you think? Did it need the flower inside, or was it better without it? And of course, you would then need to do another flower to go on the envelope. Right, now getting the slide on, it's easy to slide off. I find that it's not so easy if you're going to just slide it on like that. So what I do is just get it started. So I'll hook that in there and then hook that in the other side, and then it slides down. Now here we go. I wanted that closed so that I could see where I'm positioning my happy birthday. Well, these are the mini stamping dimensionals. So they'll put this is big enough that you can put your standard stamping dimensionals on, but these were the first ones that came to hand, so mini it is. Okay, we prefer the flower inside. See, it works, even though I think it's okay time to stop. The extra bits actually do add to it. So there's my happy, there's my birthday. There's dimensionals sticking to my fingers. I have a bow which I've tied in petal pink. Why do I keep saying petal pink? It's polished pink. The petal pink is the lighter one. And glue dots, which were sitting right in front of me, and I'm going, I know that I just got the glue dots before I started. Where are they? Why is it that all my adhesives like running away from me? Okay, so I'll put a glue dot on the back of the bow on the bottom of the flowers here, and to finish it off I've just used a couple of my polished pink in colored gems. And guess what needs to be on my next order, because it seems like I've used up all my pink ones. Right, so there's the card. Now here's a question for you. If you got this card and you hadn't seen me make it, when you came to open it, would you realize that you have to slide it? Okay, because I showed it to Wolfgang yesterday, and of course he always wants to see what's inside the card, has to check that I've decorated it, and the first thing that he did was try and open it. So I was screaming at him going, no, don't do that, you're going to break it. You have to slide it. And he was saying, that is so not intuitive. You need to put a label or something on it that says pull here to slide up. So if you were giving the card away, would you put a post-it note or something saying pull here? Or is that just a mansplaining thing that we would be fine if we got it and he just needs to know? What do you think about that one? Alright, so those are my cards. Beatrice, hope that I did justice to your card. Okay, so that's a great idea. Alright, so he's not just being silly, it maybe does need an explanation that it needs to pull. That was Bee's card. Obviously, she's working in imperial sizes, so it's slightly shorter and wider than mine is. Alright, so that's for us all. If you make the card, when you send it out, put a note and let everybody knows to pull the slide up, not just try and rip the card open. Now, I'm going to jump on a little bit later, probably in about an hour, or what's the time? Yeah, in about an hour's time, because I want to show you something else. It's not a card that I'm making, but the 2nd of October is World Card Making Day, and being in Melbourne, I'm pretty sure that we're still going to be in lockdown and we're not going to be able to get together to craft. So Stampin' Up! Has 2 different kits. The one is a paper pumpkin, which we don't usually get here, and it is beautiful. It's called Expressions in Color. It coordinates with the Expressions in Ink stamp set. And the other one is a Christmas one. So what I think we're going to do is I'm going to do an online class using these kits, but I will, like I say, give me an hour and I'll get on and I'll show you exactly what's in those kits, and we can see whether you like them and who wants to join the class. So that's us for today. B, thank you for the inspiration and for getting me to make the card. Thank you, Wolfgang, for telling us that we need a label that everybody knows how to use the card. Have a great weekend, what's left of it, and I will see you next week. Bye.